favorite.
Granblue Fantasy Versus is, for those who don't know, the most recent fighting game to come out of Arc System Works, based on the IP named Granblue Fantasy. It's a Street Fighter style fighting game from my understanding, meaning it's slower paced and less combo heavy than its anime aesthetics would make you think, focusing more on footsies and strategy than absurd mechanics to make it more accessible for newer players. Though it does still have some elements to it comparable to a more anime style fighter. Sadly though, I'm not here to spotlight the title, and even if I wanted to, I can't. It's a PS4 exclusive. Instead, we are talking today about the claims of censorship on the title. Now, it may come as a surprise to some, due to the developers Arc System Works creating things like the BlazBlue and Guilty Gear franchises, as well as publishing titles like Arcana Heart. But it shouldn't, because frankly, news of the character Zeta being altered had come out all the way back in October of last year. Though I do want to note that there is some debate to issue a Censored, or if it was just a case of a particular sprite being more risque than the characters presented in the rest of the game. I don't know, to me it looks like she's running around in her pantsu, but that's just one man's opinion. What wasn't an opinion though, was when the character Metera was revealed, clearly sprouting? What is she, a fucking plant? What wasn't an opinion though, was when the character Metera was revealed, clearly sporting a brand new pair of short shorts. And they added a bra band to her outfit? Because that tiny little bit of cloth clearly makes this seductress ready to go to church or something. So, the edits to the characters aren't new, but recently an interview conducted by Famitsu came out where they talked to Arc System Works about the title, linked below, for anyone interested in the development of the game. And within that article contains the reasons for the, call it what it is, censorship of these characters. Quote, "In GBF, Metera's costume shows a lot of skin, so CyGames' idea was to adjust it for expansion into foreign markets and for esports considerations. So we gave her some hot pants in her default outfit and adjusted her outfit to lower the amount of skin shown." Also, as a fun little side note, there is a part in the article where they talk about La Diva's wrestling super, and the devs claim that no fighting game has ever brought in a ref.
The line for autographs starts here.
It's actually interesting that within the interview, it said that the devs themselves didn't like the idea of the changes, including the director of both Granblue Versus, as well as the director of Granblue Fantasy itself. A far cry from the usual stonewalling we get from most companies, or worse, the dismissive talking down to fans that Mortal Kombat did after people pointed out how the female characters were all covered up while the dudes can run around half naked. The interview makes it sound like the call came from CyGames, and you know when the people who sign your checks say do something, you kinda do it. On the bright side, the devs understand and care that the fans wouldn't be happy with these changes, even going as far to say, quote, "Adding more cloth to Metera's outfit makes her not Metera anymore." And that sort of desire to give the fans of these characters and their outfits, as well as the desire to stay true to the source material, shows, because it was revealed later that players can unlock the original outfits by playing the story mode. Yeah, the unaltered outfits are in the game, and they aren't even paid DLC. So that's all well and good, but the fact of the matter is that the game did tone its presentation down for the esports market. And let me be clear, while I'm seeing some people blame Sony because, well... As I said earlier, it sounds like the call came from CyGames, being very willing to make adjustments to their titles when releasing in the West. Like Shadowverse, and in some ways, Granblue Fantasy proper, as documented by Censored Gaming.
The game's official Twitter account has received large amounts of backlash over this decision, and the creators have not yet made an official statement on the matter. Granblue Fantasy is developed by CyGames, who are also the studio behind 2016's Shadowverse. You may recall how Shadowverse has also experienced various changes outside of Japan, such as toning down the design of one of the main characters.
I actually think this might be why I've never tried Granblue Fantasy out before, but it should be noted that at some point at least one outfit change controversy was reverted. But I'm getting away from the main point. Fact of the matter is that the game did tone down its presentation for the esports market, and because of that mentality, potential DLC characters could be affected. Now, for those who didn't know, the first wave of characters was already revealed, including one very busty but also tastefully clothed Narmaya, finally giving the game a drawf waifu. I think that's how it's pronounced. I only know about this franchise by the hentai. But supposedly the game has 1 to 2 years of DLC planned, and it's kinda sad to know that despite the franchise having plenty of fanservice designs, they might, keyword might, be avoided because of esports. And that's where I want to end this short video on, esports. Because I just don't see the point of this mentality in this scenario. Like, I hated when Capcom censored the almighty booty slap of doom that was Armika, but at least I understand that was because they were trying to get on freaking ESPN for some reason. I also understand that DOA got snubbed by EVO because of its hypersexualized history, as well as, you know. Despite the game toning itself down and ironically doing the same thing as Granblue, hiding the more servicey content inside of the game. But, and this is a bit pessimistic to be fair, Granblue ain't gonna be on TV, so what is even the point? As far as FGC success goes, we already have proof that sensual characters and outfits do not bar a game from success in the form of Soul Calibur 6, a game that routinely is streamed for weeklies and is slated for its second appearance at EVO, a great comeback for a franchise that basically died on its 5th entry. That's what really grinds my gears about these kind of situations, games censoring themselves in the Western release for what I assume is a hope for an increase in the chance they blow up into a massive esport. It's really annoying for someone like me who dislikes censorship in any form to see titles making changes like these, even really niche titles that should be prioritizing giving their niche fans exactly what they've been supporting have been doing this, like Million Arthur Arcana Blood and the removal of Nice Chinchin. But hey, maybe I'm wrong, and Granblue ends up garnering an absolutely massive esports scene, hopefully with, you know, some actual investment by the company itself. I mean, Street Fighter style games are a lot more accessible than super combo heavy anime fighters, and anime as a whole is a hot thing nowadays, including in the FGC after the success of Fighters, so who knows. Hell, the reception of fanservice in the FGC has actually improved dramatically from my perspective. I remember when games like these were ragged and called that gay shit. I mean, I still see hot takes like that from time to time, like the reveal of Iroha in Samsho, but things are better from a community standpoint. Now it's just the esports standpoint that's the problem.
What did you always call it, Clark? The never-ending battle?
And finally, there will always be people who say it's a small change, it's not important, why even care? But the simplest reply to that would be, if it was so small and unimportant, why even change it in the first place? But if someone doesn't want to support a censored product, then don't. There are more games out in the world than one could ever afford, and maybe one of those deserves the money more. But when it comes to Granblue Versus, I do think credit should be given to the devs who acknowledged that fans would be disappointed about the changes and even went out of their way to include the original outfits not as paid DLC, but as a reward for simply playing the game. But with all that said, I'll leave it to you guys in the comment section to let me know your opinions on this video, the event, the game itself. Maybe you have a PS4, I don't, so I'd actually love to hear your opinions on how the game plays and such. But maybe consider supporting my content via Patreon, and I'll see you guys next time. Matane.
I wrote a blog post a while ago about why I f***ing hate video games, because this is what it does. It appeals to like the male fantasy.
Stop it.